Hi, welcome to 3.2 AVL. Today we're going to be talking about naming ionic compounds and naming ionic compounds with a transition, just two things. So first, write these notes down. 1. In order to name an ionic compound or name any compound, just like people, they have a first name and a last name. So the first name is the element's first name. You write the name of the element that came first in the formula. It's got a positive oxidation number. The last name, you start with the root of the element's name. So if it was chlorine, it would be chlor, okay? And then you add a new suffix to the end, IDE. So everything is going to end in "ide." So now if we use chlorine in a formula, it's going to be chloride. And I'm sure you've heard that before. If it starts with a transition element, right, in those groups 3 through 12, if it starts with a transition element, you have to include that Roman numeral. And you figure out the Roman numeral based on two things. One, the subscript of the partner element, right? And two, the oxidation of the partner element. And essentially, we're going to cross-criss. We're going to undo the crisscross. So let's look at a few examples. Okay. First, a non-transition example, Mg3P. Mg is magnesium, right? So we literally type magnesium. You should be able to spell this, okay? The 3 has nothing to do with it, not anything to do with the name. The last name, in a different colored box over here, the last name is going to be the root of the element, which is phosphorus. So we want phos for ide. Instead of phosphorus, we want phosphoride, right? It's got a new suffix on the end. Sometimes we'll even take out this and leave it as phosphide instead of phosphoride, okay? If it's a transition, like Cr3N2, Cr is chromium, right? So you start with chromium, and it needs a Roman numeral, so you're going to put a parenthesis there. Now, let's go figure out what that is. Well, the oxidation of nitrogen is a 3 negative, right? So that's where this 3 down here came from. Where'd that 2 come from? Well, that had to have been the oxidation of chromium to positive. That way, when they crisscross, we get Cr3 and 2. Cr is chromium 2, and then our last name is nitrogen, nitrogen. So take off the gen, and it would be nitroide. But there's some weird English rule about having two vowels next to each other. So we would take out the O and leave it as nitride. And that is a transition. Okay? Let's go through some other ionic naming examples. We're going to look at BeO, CaF2, ZnI2, and NaBr. So first, right, remember first name and last name. BeO would be beryllium oxide. CaF2 would be calcium fluoride. ZnI2, Zn, little lights and buzzers should go off, that's a transition element, is zinc, and it is 2, right? That little 2, cross Chris, go back up. Zinc 2 iodide. And finally, NaBr should be sodium bromide. You're going to have a few problems to do. Thanks for watching.